Hello everyone, Wayne from the CERN Earth and Space Center here. In today's video we're going to show you how to use a couple of different tools to navigate your way around the nighttime sky. We'll take a look at a few varieties of these tools and then focus on one and show you how to use it to orient yourself and track down some of those stars, planets, and other objects that we can find. Many of the most popular tools used today are digital. There are apps for your phones and tablets, programs for your computers, and we'll talk about some of these in another video. But for this one, we want to look at some of the more analog solutions. Things that you can carry in your backpack with you if you're going out on a hike to take a look at the nighttime sky and see some cool things. One of the most popular is what's called a planisphere, and that is this right here. And we can see that we have a nice big oval here that shows us what the night sky looks like, and then there are some dates and times around the side. So if we wanted to, we could set it for any date and time and get an idea of what the sky might look like. So if we wanted to set it for 10 o'clock on August the 11th, which is today, we just turn it so that the 10 o'clock is lined up with August the 11th, and then that gives us a good look at what the sky will look like at that time. If we hold it this way, we can see what stars and shapes we can find in the sky facing towards the south. But if we want to see what we can find facing north, well then we just have to turn it around, and now we can see what's towards the north. Now, planispheres are great because they are so adaptable. But if you don't want to have to worry about setting it for the correct date and time, well then there is a much simpler solution. And that is what we call a monthly sky chart. And I have one of those right here. Now, this is very similar to a planisphere, except it only works for a particular month. It's set to a couple hours after sunset. This one happens to be for August of 2020, and it shows you some of the brightest stars and objects that you'll find at that time of year. We'll see it is set up very similar. We have the circle here with the horizon, different directions on it. So much like a planisphere, how we hold it is going to change with our viewpoint. And you'll notice that there's a lot less going on inside of this sky chart than there was in the planisphere. And that is because it only shows us the brightest objects for that particular month. It's not going to worry about having all of the other stuff in there to make it adaptable. If we take a closer look at our sky chart, we can get a better idea of how to use it. We are using the Abrams Sky Calendar that is put out by the Abrams Planetarium at Michigan State University, and you can download a printable PDF from the CERN Center website every month. It has two sides. The first is this sky chart. It shows the brightest stars and objects that will be visible all month long. The other side is the Sky Calendar, which shows us some of the exciting things that we can see in the sky that are only visible on certain dates or times. It will show you what to look for in the sky and tell you what time and direction to look for to find it. But let's focus on the sky chart and find out how to orient ourselves to use it effectively. If you look up here in the top left, you'll see that it has some times that it will work best for. 10 p.m. in early August, 9 p.m. in late August, and that's about 2 hours after the sun sets. That's the best time to go out and look at the sky. Much earlier than that, and there will be a lot of twilight left, which makes it difficult to see the stars at all. And much later than that, the stars will have changed position as the Earth rotates, and you might have some difficulty lining them up with the chart. If we look at the big circle, this shows us what the entire sky will look like if you flattened it out and printed it out. But we can't see the entire sky at once, just a small portion of it, which is why we have the direction markers, and they're very useful. Holding the paper upright like this does help us to see what is towards the south. And here we can see Scorpius and Sagittarius right over the south, with Jupiter and Saturn towards the southeast. It'll let us see everything that is, well, about in this portion of the sky. Now, if I switch over to our sky simulator, Stellarium Web, which is set for mid-August, right around 9:30 p.m., facing towards the south, then we can see that it does line up very well. We have Scorpius and Sagittarius directly over the south, and Jupiter and Saturn a little bit towards the southeast. If we wanted to use this sky chart facing north, then all we have to do is turn the paper upside down so that we can read the word north properly. Once we do that, then we can see the two dippers, the Big and Little Dipper, and Cassiopeia right over here. We'll be able to see about this portion of the sky when we look towards the north. If we switch back over to that sky simulator, we'll see that it once again lines up with Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Big and Little Dippers. Right there, Cassiopeia a little bit off to the right. Everything lines up with the sky chart. One thing to notice when looking north on your sky chart is you'll see all of these little arrows pointing towards stars, and those show you how you can use certain stars to point your way to find other ones. For instance, if you use the Big Dipper stars, you can point your way directly to Polaris, and then if you keep following that line, it'll point you through to Cassiopeia and the Great Square of Pegasus. You can also follow the handle to point your way to Arcturus and Boötes, and then down to Spica if you follow that curve. So those arrows just show you how to point your way around. If you can find one or two stars in the sky, you can usually use them to help you find some more. And similarly, if we wanted to look directly overhead, we should be able to see this section of the sky with the summer triangle and Boötes visible. And again, if we switch over to our sky simulator, we see that is exactly what we see if we were looking straight up. But now that you know how to orient yourself and identify stars and objects using a sky chart, the next step is to get out there and take a look at the real nighttime sky. With enough practice, you won't even need the sky chart anymore. Thank you for watching.